So your starter has arrived in the post, and I'm just going to show you how to do the activation feed, which will just get it going again because it's been in the post for a few days. So I'm just going to snip the corner of the bag and then squeeze it out into the bowl, a clean bowl. Don't worry if it's a little bit smelly, like maybe vinegar or alcohol, it just means it's hungry, that's all. Into this, I'm going to add 50 grams of water. And 50 grams of flour. And I'm just going to give it a good mix. And then I'm going to pop it into a clean jar and leave it for about 8 to 12 hours. I'll probably check on it after about 8 hours because then I can do a build feed as long as it's going well. Usually just mark the level and then I know that it's grown. And I'll just cover it and leave it. So this has now been sitting for about 10 hours, I think. And if you have a look at the surface, let's have a look, you can see it's super bubbly. And the line, it's way above the line. It's way above the line. So that's great, that's what we wanted. It's activated nicely and it's on the way. So I'm just going to put 50 grams of starter into a new bowl. And then I'm going to add 100 grams of flour and 100 grams of water because I want to make 200 grams of starter ready to put in the bread recipe. And I want 50 grams of starter left over to either build again the next day or maintain it. And then just mix it all up exactly as you did before. I'm going to get a clean jar. And just pop that in there. And then about 6 to 8 hours, that will be ready to make into our bread. Just going to mark the line again. It's about there, if you can see it. So we'll see how much it grows. So it's now been about 8 hours, and as you can see, hopefully see, it is fantastically bubbly. It has at least doubled in size, and it's ready to go. I'm going to weigh out 200 grams of starter. And that leaves a bit left in the jar to either build again later or maintain. 300 grams of water. 500 grams of flour. And 8 grams of salt. And then I'm going to mix this up until it's all together and all the flour has been incorporated. And then when it's all come together, it should still be quite raggedy, but all the flour should be incorporated. And then just cover it and leave it to rest for half an hour. This has been about half an hour. We're just going to give it our first stretch and fold. Don't need to knead it like you would normal bread, but you can, because we just want to let the gluten develop. And as you can see, it's already much stretchier than it was. So for the third stretch and fold, we just pick it up and fold it over, turn the bowl, pick it up, fold it over, give it a bit of a stretch while you're doing it. For the first stretch and fold, I usually like to do it about 8 times just to give it a bit of a mix in. And then I'll repeat this 3 more times, so 4 stretch and folds in total every half an hour. Here we go, just cover it up and leave it for another half an hour. Okay, it's now been half an hour, so you can see it's getting even stretchier. So just a quick fold, stretch, fold, stretch, fold. I can't remember, that was 3 or 4. I'll do one more. Stretch, fold, wait another half an hour. It's time for the third stretch and fold, and already you can see it's getting quite smooth and it's nice and it's keeping its shape. 1, 2. I can't remember if I said this is quite a low hydration loaf. I think it's only 67%. And usually want a bit higher for sourdough, like 72. But this just makes it a bit easier to manage if it's your first time. There we go, another half an hour, and then on to the last one. I'm going to do the final stretch and fold. Feels really soft and supple now. Leave it in a little bit of a ball and then leave it for 8 hours at room temperature. You'll know it's ready because it will have risen, maybe doubled, and it'll have little air bubbles on the top, and the consistency will be quite light and fluffy. You might want to cover it with some plastic as well, just so it doesn't form a skin on the top. So this has now been bulk proofing for about 8 hours at room temperature, which is about 21 degrees in my house. And I'm just going to turn it out and just give it a rough shaping. So just put a little bit of flour, you don't need too much, you just want it to stop it from sticking. You know it's ready because you're getting some bubbles coming up. You can see some aeration. And it's got a little bit of a jiggle, which is what we want. And you can see it's coming out. I hope you can see. It's really light and fluffy. It's changed its consistency quite a bit. This is just going to be a loose shape, and then we'll leave it to rest for half an hour to an hour. Okay, just make sure flour's underneath so it doesn't stick to the surface, and then gently pull it out a little bit, nice and gentle. We don't want to knock all that air out. And then I'm just going to kind of stick it in a little star shape almost. I'm going to roll it over and then just loosely tuck in the ends. There we go. and then just cover it for a little while with the bowl. It's now been about half an hour and it's puffed up slightly and spread out a little bit more. Not a lot, because I haven't left it for that long. So just going to make sure it's not stuck. So now I want to do a proper shape, and then I'm going to put it into this basket, which I've pre-floured with wholemeal flour. Rice flour is actually better because it stops it from sticking, but that's all I've got. And then I'm going to leave it in the fridge overnight and bake it in the morning. Okay, so first I'm going to gently flip it back over onto its, it's sticky, onto its good side. Make sure it's not sticking now. You can see the bubbles coming out. Can you see that? Okay, gently pull it out again. And then I'm going to fold that onto the sticky side, and that onto the sticky side. And I'm going to fold this one down, and I'm going to fold this one all the way over the top, like so. Really tight as you can. This is where you want to get the tension in the surface. And I'm going to just tuck in the ends as well to neaten it. And sometimes that's okay. You can give it a gentle kind of pull, just to, don't rip the surface, but just to give it a little bit more tension. And then we want to transfer it carefully into the basket. And the easiest way I found to do this is kind of roll it onto your hand, roll it onto the other hand, and then drop it in seam side up. So you've got to turn it over as you put it in. And then what I do is I give the seam a little pinch, which also pulls in the skin as you're doing it. So it gives it that extra little bit of tension. Now I'm going to cover it with some cling foam or plastic, or a plastic bag, and then I'm going to leave it in the fridge overnight. So I've just taken this out of the fridge, and I'm just going to do a quick poke test. Put your thumb in about 1/2 inch, and it should come back up and then stop about halfway, and that means it's proofed enough. Hopefully this will come off nicely. So you want to score it really quickly, and just a nice firm hand all the way along. Go a bit deeper if you want, not too deep. And then pick up the greaseproof paper, pop it straight into the roasting pan, and then straight in the oven. So I've just taken it out of the oven, so I'll just give you a sneaky peek now. And there we go. And you can see it's got a lovely ear, it's risen beautifully. And there we go, it's got a lovely oven spring. The ear's great, so the scoring was fine. And when it's cooling, when it's had a good oven spring, sometimes you can hear a crackling sound. Don't know if you heard that, but I can hear it, I promise. So I'll let that cool down a bit, and then I'll cut into it, and hopefully the inside will look as good as the outside. So the sourdough is nice and cool now. So let's cut into it, and hopefully it'll look good inside. Oh, it's got a lovely crust. Oh, that's quite nice. It's not as holy as you get with some of the higher hydration sourdoughs, but that's pretty nice for a low hydration loaf. Tasty. Thanks for watching.